Jona, it's been another busy week for Atomic Hub. One of the most visible releases to the users is there's now an additional checkbox whenever you try to list an item at below the suggested price.
Yeah, that's the most visible one. I mean, it's a pretty small one technically, but I think it will help prevent some of those unfortunate mistakes. So just prompting a user to double check if they really want to list their NFT for the amount they specified, or if they maybe mistyped it or whatever. And then I think apart from that, there's been a lot of work going on in the backend, a lot of good progress made there, but really nothing to be released, nothing that could be released last week, but making good progress.
Yeah, for sure. And again, on that suggested price update, the checkbox for listing below, like I say, it's going to help prevent those people that accidentally list an item for 1% of what its value is. So, something that will help you in those rare scenarios. But it will be a lifesaver when that does happen. So you mentioned that we've been working on several things this week. Obviously, last week we talked a bit about the trading feature. Are there any updates on when we might see that trading?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I sort of wished it to already be released at this point, but we just want to make sure that the testing is done properly, that when we release it, it works truly. So this is pretty much what we're doing. So it's already like being tested. It's pretty much done, but we want to make sure that it's completely right before releasing it. So yeah, that's the status there. I'm pretty hopeful that we'll see that being released pretty soon.
Oh, that sounds great. We did get one question in the Discord asking. Obviously, we announced our deal with Banxa a couple of weeks. Well, it's actually the start of last month, I believe. Obviously, the Fiat to Wax is now in beta. Someone asked where we're at with the Fiat to NFT system.
Yeah, so we're making good progress with that. We're actually we've sort of begun the design work for that. Banxa have already done their part in that they provided us sort of a testing version of this. So we're pretty much testing, we're designing it, we're seeing how we can best incorporate it into the existing Atomic Hub design, but making good progress there. So I'm actually quite hopeful that this won't take too much longer to be released as well.
Cool. I'm sure there's plenty of creators and collectors that are very much looking forward to have that kind of ease of access to NFTs on the Wax blockchain. So yeah, looking forward to that being released. Another question we had on the Discord was a user that's asked whether they'll be able to see the resources that they've used, maybe on their profile page or their inventory page, probably most useful for RAM and CPU costs when you're playing blockchain games. Is that something we might look into?
That's an interesting one. I mean, we do display the RAM in the NFT creator because that's pretty much the only space in Atomic Hub where you can spend significant amounts of RAM. Apart from that, like listing an NFT can cost a bit of RAM, which is released again once the listing is either cancelled or purchased. But really, the NFT creator is the only place for that. And then for CPU and net, we pretty much pay for that, except in some rare cases, we pretty much pay for all the transactions on Atomic Hub. So the way it works is just that our system, without even necessarily letting you as a user know, actually inserts sort of an extra action into the transaction, which does nothing, and which essentially just means that our account is built for the CPU and net instead of the user's account. So in that sense, I think we never really thought about displaying the resource directly on Atomic Hub because they shouldn't really matter for a normal user. But I guess it makes sense that especially for someone playing sort of an on-chain game, this is a lot more relevant. So I'll get the conversation started internally if we should add that. We don't want to confuse new users, but I can see how it could be useful.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, for suggestions such as that one, the Discord's always the best place to reach out to us. So, whether it's ideas such as that or anything else at all, just head into our Discord, leave a note, and it will get passed to our team. Jona, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next week.
See you next week, John.